It is, yeah, it's interesting actually, because I think weather is actually, it is a great connector, and it's a great connector that people don't necessarily appreciate as much as perhaps they could do from a sales perspective online. Actually, it becomes one of those things. I think, yeah, people look for pieces of obvious personal connection somewhere, but if you really can't find anything, weather is always a great fallback position. People always have an opinion about it, whether you're having the same weather, a heat wave, whether you're in 6 inches of snow, it doesn't matter. It is a great sales connector. And I think it's something that people don't perhaps think about quite enough, other than just talking about the weather, actually use it as a connection piece. It's a simple way to open up a conversation with people. So, yeah, there we go. Grey and grayer, plus a bit of pink and orange out the window at the moment.
We are talking to a Withers of Profit Levers. Now, Jason was just talking about this document that he has in his Facebook group, Profit, and all his other sources direct you back to there, but at Jason A. Withers. Also, don't forget, this radio is something you're going to want to listen to every other week, and bookmark and must listen radio. If you want to make your business more profitable, finally want to learn and take it up a notch from, the typical coach, author, or speaker, and have fun, Jason is your guy. So get out there, and Facebook group Profit Levers. Gila, you can go join that if you'd like. So that would be absolutely awesome and brilliant framework and document that Jason has created just for you. That's going to make it a lot easier for you. And again, so next at 11 or 12 p.m. p.m. California time, I should say, and 8 p.m. London time, Withers and Profit Levers. You're not going to want to miss it. And to find out more about Jason and his radio show on the Coach on Fire Radio Network, visit facebook.com/Coach on Fire. Enough of the plugging. Now I think we've come to the time to ask a few personal questions, just so the audience can get to know you as a person. So why don't we start with telling us a little bit about your family?
Family, yes. So married with a 10-year-old son who turned 10 back in March. He shares his birthday with St. Patrick's Day, so I will never, ever forget St. Patrick's Day again.
I know you are.
So, so we had a weekend out with him at Legoland. He's a big Lego fan. Would love, I think, a career in building Lego in that way. As we all grow up, we want to do the thing that we are attracted to the most. His thing right now, Lego, has been ever since. He's got quite an engineering kind of mindset about him. So it very much appeals to him on that basis, finds that absolutely fascinating. My wife is a proxy MD for aluminium fabrication company here in London, and she's been with that company for about 17 years now, I think. So it's pretty established good company.
Assure your son that he actually, and I know we were talking about this a little bit off the air, but assure your son that he could indeed grow up to actually build Lego models. I was covering an event earlier, the media contingent for a grand opening of Legoland, California, out here in Carlsbad, which is a spectacular new hotel there. Now, I've been to, I think, on the face of, in California anyway, and Legoland was one that I had not been to before. I did to this event with a free hotel room, grand opening of a new hotel, and as they always do, reminded me of days when where you got everything for free. It was great. So, but the park was spectacular. If you have kids between 2 and it's a tour of a brand new submarine ride that's about to open in July, a hard hat tour. But we model builders. And he is a master model builder. And out here in Legoland, California, they have 4 master models. And he grew, as he was telling us. and did so much. And then when Legoland California opened up, he applied and did some auditions with some, models. And all of a sudden, he's now the chief master model builder. He does. He builds models of Legos all day. It's paid for it. Absolutely amazing. I never would have thought Legos and actually get a job doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, and I think it's one of the things actually that the modern era teaches us. You can pretty much make up your own mind about the kind of thing that you want to do in the future, and I think It's one of the great opportunities, certainly for the younger generations, that they are really grasping this idea that they can become self-sufficient business people. I think certainly at the time when I left college back in 1992. It was very much, it was a path into a job working for someone else, and that is what you did. And I think that exactly. Now, I think, he's, as I say, he's just turned 10. So he's still got a lot of his sort of school and educational life ahead of him. But I think that whatever the technological developments that we will see in the next 5 to 10 years are going to be, he'll embrace those. They'll come his way.
Absolutely.
But I think right now, my biggest ambition for him is that in whatever we manage to do in the next 5 to 10 years, if he chooses to take on a type of role or a job in a company where he is working for someone else, or he wants to train into one of the classic professions, be that accountants, lawyers, doctors, whatever it might be, that's absolutely fine. But I think one of my big parental issues at the moment is trying to make sure that his eyes are opened wide enough to see all of the things that could leave him to be truly self-sufficient and not necessarily have to rely on anybody other than himself in his adult life. And that's certainly something that I don't think was ever on the radar, either for me or for any of my friends or colleagues I was with at school and university. That just wasn't the type of thinking that existed. That entrepreneurial piece was reserved ostensibly for very few people, and the classic will be the Richard Bransons of this world, of course. But I think it was always very much a very corporate path. You always went to work for someone else. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for youngsters out there now to really create something where they can write their own check, ultimately run the business of their dreams, run the thing that they want to run, doing something that they are truly interested in. There are plenty of YouTubers out there doing, my son's watching them doing all sorts of game type stuff and Lego things. So, it's an amazing opportunity out there for them now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's never been easier. Trees have never been lower if you want to jump into that entrepreneurial and follow that dream. I work with a lot of people. I know we may be getting off track here a little bit, Jason, disenchanted with their corporate careers, and we tried to teach them how to follow them. And they had the business sense to be able to do it because they'd worked for a company for a while. But also in today's day and age, and maybe in the days of my grandfather and even my father, you would get a job and you'd work for the same company for 20, even 30 years, and you will watch. Companies are not that loyal anymore. And it is highly unlikely that you will work for just one company throughout your career and get that gold watch and retire with a pension and things like that. It's just the world is too volatile. The situation of the world economy are, volatile. They go up and they go down, and companies aren't loyal at all anymore. It is, all about orders and making. We're talking about profit on a different level here, but in terms of loyalty to employees, very, very few companies have that at the top of their list, for lack of a better word. Now, I'm not going to brush every company on the face of the planet with that with that paint, but there are enough out there and enough horror stories of people that are being laid off and don't know what they're going to do after 20 years and, or their pensions taken away. That self-sufficiency thing that you're talking about teaching your son, and from a parental standpoint, I think was a brilliant tip. And I don't want that to go overlooked on and Facebook Live broadcast, because I think that is really important, Jason. Teaching our children to be having that entrepreneurial option where it has never been easier to do the advent of the internet. I know when I started the Coach on Fire radio network, and I did it out of frustration with some private clients that I wanted to do a radio show, and they wouldn't do it on their own. So I just kind of threw up my hands and said, hey, what if we did it as a team, as a group, as a family, and I was with you there every step of the way. And that way we took care of all of that stuff. You would show up, do your show, get that content out there, build that trust and authority and things like that. What I never started that was that it would turn into a global endeavor. I thought mostly people from the United Canada. And, the first 6 countries. We had the UK, we had Canada, we had someone in South Africa, and I'm going, what is going on here? And today, if you're going to work and deal with people, which is very, very cool. I talk a lot of the 6 degrees of now, literally down to 1. But my friends growing up, I grew up in the wine country of California, right? So some of them had been to Italy. Yeah, because they have relatives in Italy, but they didn't have friends over there. They didn't talk to people in Europe or the UK or anywhere else in the world on the face of the planet. They were in their own little world out here in California, in communities, and they might have had, a grandmother in Italy, but certainly no one that they talked with was on a global scale. Today, if you were running a business, it is likely that you are dealing with people from all over the world. And I think that is really, really cool. But it has shrunk the world. Walt Disneyland has a ride. Never had envisioned just how small the world has really. And you have an opportunity to create a global impact and a global business that's never been easier than it is today. And teaching our kids that they have that option, if they want to go off and become a doctor and a lawyer, that's what I did. I became a lawyer and a politician and then got disillusioned I'm doing now. Giving them that option and showing them that they can be themselves. And we're starting to see a trend amongst millennials that to start their own business. So I think that was a brilliant point, and I didn't want that to go, unnoticed, because that was brilliant what you said there, Jason.
I think it is one of those aspirational things. He will grow up, he will choose his path, and he'll end up doing whatever he wants to do. But even that ability now, I think, for people who do live a corporate or that professional life, the fact that they can do that side hustle piece as well, that actually fires a personal interest that they can turn into a business on their own premises as well. The likes of e-commerce, those sorts of things. And again, I think it is, in some of what you were saying, actually, there is huge advantage in the online arena. The speed with which you can have an idea and actually get that idea to market on a global basis is unrivaled in the corporate world, I think, and particularly in the owner-managed business space. The procrastination piece that those businesses in brick and mortar world tend to go through to decide about, shall I launch this? Should we do the product research on that? Shall we do this? Shall we do that? It takes them ages to get something to market. Whereas I think in the online space, it can very much be something where you can be in a Facebook group one day, listening to some people talk about a topic, and you can think, hold on a minute, these people need something. I know about this. I can serve this audience with that. You can go and write it and have it out by the end of tomorrow for what it's worth. You can put a live coaching piece out there, group coaching program, run it as a beta and then scale it properly. There's all sorts of things, but the speed with which you can make that happen, I think is unparalleled. And that kind of speed, I think, allows us to serve people far more effectively and far more efficiently now. The lag that people used to associate with doing business and getting things to market is just disappeared. People, I think, are also far more ready to deal with people on, in some respects, on a less formal but just as professional a basis. You know, that ability to say, well, let's hop on a Zoom call. We can sort this